Welcome to Self-Care Tips. I am Irene Joroge. As we continue with our beauty shopping experience, we must understand the importance of using the right products, and we cannot fail to address the issue of skin lightening. Skin lightening is very common, and when you're shopping, you need to be aware of the products which contain dangerous bleaching ingredients and those that do not. It is indeed quite a contentious issue. And we have with us today Jackie, who is a very well-known skincare consultant in Nairobi, and she's going to talk to us about skin lightening and the products that one should use to even out the skin, to remove dark spots and dark patches. So Jackie, the other day you mentioned to me that people really come asking for skin lightening products and all that. And why do you think they ask for these products, and what do you normally advise them to do?
People normally come here at Super Cosmetics mostly to ask for products that normally will help to lighten their skin. But according to us, we normally advise people not to use bleaching products that will damage their skin. We normally encourage people to use safe products that we stock in our store. Mostly the products we stock are of vitamin C, which will help to lighten the skin, smoothen the skin, and soften and give you a radiant color back. We normally have also people who have sunburned skin.
Yes.
And we advise them on what to use so that they can get back their natural color back.
Jackie, I can see you're really glowing. You look lovely. Your skin is a deep tone. It's so gorgeous. What would you advise people to do to achieve that glow without changing their color?
It's better to use a product that is safer, and also you have a daily routine that you can use, especially a cleanser, a toner, and a good moisturizer.
Cleanser, toner, and a good moisturizer. And maybe you also always making sure that you know your products.
Yeah.
What are some of the dangerous products that you've seen?
There are products which are normally not advisable to use. Like if you get a product with hydroquinone, mercury, it tends to damage the tissue and the melamine of your skin. And when the melamine is damaged, it's very hard to repair.
Jackie, I completely agree with you about this issue of bleaching. It's something that should never be included in a person's skincare routine. It is best to use natural products like those ingredients you've mentioned, like niacinamide, vitamin C, vitamin E, which are natural brighteners. One should completely avoid things like mercury and hydroquinone and steroids, because these damage your skin. And once that damage is done, it is irreparable. Damaged skin by bleaching takes a long time to heal, if at all it ever heals. That should never be part of your skin routine. And this has been Self-Care Tips. I am Irene Joroge.
Please deposit this money into my account real quick.
May I know your account, please?
Michael Bakayoko. My account is 01826.
Thank you for banking with us.
It's my first time to bank. Could I ask how safe is my money? Or maybe I should just continue with my mattress banking. I think I should go back.
How are you, Mr. Bakayoko? How may I help you this time?
Well, I have come back to confirm the safety of my money. The one that I deposited earlier today.
Oh, I guess you haven't banked with us for some time. Now listen, whenever you deposit your money, be rest assured of its safety because you're a responsible bank, which is a member of the KDIC. See that sticker there?
KDIC?
KDIC is mandated by law to provide insurance for your deposits.
Now I know. No more mattress banking.
Be sure. Check out for a KDIC sticker in your banking hall. KDIC, protecting your deposits.
Well, it's Monday, the 15th day of November 2021. This is KBC Prime Edition live from Broadcasting House right here in Nairobi, Kenya. Good evening. My name is Mboya.
Good evening. My name is Museo. We have the latest news of what's been happening here in Kenya, on the continent and around the world.
Our headline stories tonight.
On the loose, 3 terror suspects escaped from Kamiti Maximum Prison.
Soccer intrigues. FKF president release on cash bill as FIFA warns government against meddling.
Should anyone give a bribe with the aim of securing a place during this exercise, they will have themselves to blame.
KDF recruitment, 23 arrested over bribery.
Kuna mtu anaweza kutuambia sisi watu milioni 8 tumeunda serikali mara 2, tumefanya maendeleo mengi, katikati yetu watu milioni 8 tumekosa mtu ya kutuongoza.
Wana wapinzani wangu wanasema hiyo ni porojo, ni gharama ya serikali.
And battle for votes. Deputy President in Meru as ODM leader promises goodies to coast residents.
Thank you all very much for joining us.
And Wangeshi is our sign language interpreter tonight. We are live on all our social media platforms, on Twitter at KBC, Channel 1 News at Purity_Museo, and at Mboya24, the hashtag Prime Edition.
Our lead story tonight is on the police who have placed a 60 million shillings bounty on 3 terror suspects who escaped from the Kamiti Maximum Prison Monday morning. The 3 include Mohammed Ali Abikar, Musharraf Abdallah, and Joseph Juma Odhiambo.
Police say Musharraf Abdallah was arrested on 30th September 2012 over his participation in a failed terrorist attack targeting parliament buildings. Mohammed Ali Abdikar was arrested following his involvement in the Garissa University attack on the 2nd of April 2015.
Joseph Juma Odhiambo was arrested on the 21st of November 2019 at Bulahawa, that's in Somalia, while attempting to enlist with the Al-Shabaab. Information on their whereabouts can be channeled through hotline number 0800-733-03. I repeat, 0800-733-03. This information will be held in confidence. Now on to another story that's making headlines tonight. Ejected Football Federation of Kenya President Nick Mboya will have to pay 4 million shillings or secure a bond of 7 million shillings for his freedom.
Mboya, who spent the weekend in police cell, was arraigned before Milimani Senior Resident Magistrate Nyamu on allegations of fraud.
Of Criminal Investigations has sought 14 days to continue detaining, which was rejected, by the way, by the court.
Nick Mboya was on Monday afternoon presented in court, with the DCI seeking to detain him for 14 days pending investigations. Prosecution argued that if released, Mboya would interfere with the witnesses who are employees of FKF and documents in his office that could not be accessed over the weekend.
Your Honor, you note that being the president of this organization, he was in the position of authority and influence. There are employees of FKF who takes instructions directly from him, and these employees are potential witnesses.
But his lawyers, led by Professor Tom Ojenda and Eric Mutua, opposed the application, saying any continued holding of the embattled FKF boss with no charge was a violation of his constitutional rights. Mwendo's legal team accusing the DCI of lacking transparency in the case, claiming the previous report was about mismanaging 513 million shillings, while the affidavit only cites transfer of 8.5 million shillings and withdrawal by unauthorized signatories of 29.5 million shillings.
If you look at this affidavit, which has been brought before the Honor for convincing you that the respondent should be detained for a longer period. That figure of 513 million does not feature anywhere at all.
The Defense Counsel also cited the letter from FIFA, pointing out the implications of failing to release Mwendwa.
Your Honor, the effect of the arrest of the president of FKF is a ban on football. And once Kenya is banned, Your Honor, it will take many years for Kenya to find its footing in football. And that is precisely, Your Honor, the public interest question in this matter. We will give our country a dirty image to the entire world.
But his freedom had a price, as the court barred him from accessing his office or building, no access to all workers of FKF, no address to the media, not to attend any football activities up to when the ruling is delivered on the 17th of November. Well, this comes amidst a looming ban on Kenya from the International Federation of Football, FIFA, calling for negotiations with the Sports Cabinet Secretary, Ambassador Amina Mohammed. Sarafina Robi for Prime Edition.
Because crisis enveloping the football scene in the country, and we will be tracking that story for you. Let's move on to now an item here on corruption. 6 people, among them 2 senior Homa Bay County Assembly officers, have been arrested over an alleged involvement in an 85 million shillings fraud.
In a statement, the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission CEO Twalib Mbarak said those arrested are directors or directly linked to Nyangume and Damila Enterprises, companies that were used to defraud the Homa Bay County government.
Now Mbarak says that the suspects will be arraigned in court on Tuesday. Now, moving on, the Kenya Defense Forces is cautioning Kenyans to be wary of persons posing as officers and asking for bribes to secure them slots in the recruitment exercise that kicked off on Monday.
The Vice Chief of Defense Forces, General Francis Ogola, said 21 officers and 2 individuals have already been arrested in connection with the scam.
The nationwide recruitment drive of the Kenya Defense Forces kicked off Monday. Speaking during the official launch of the exercise, the Vice Chief of the Defense Forces, Lieutenant General Francis Ogola, said the force has devolved the exercise to their 327 recruitment centers across the 47 counties. The exercise is targeting officers in 6 categories, which include General Officer Cadets, General Officer Cadet Graduates, Specialist Cadets, General Duty Recruits, Tradesmen and women in the Defense Forces Constabulary.
The 14th of November 2021, yesterday, marked the last day for the specialist officers and tradesmen to submit their applications on our online portal.
Lieutenant General Ogola warning Kenyans against falling prey to individuals posing as officers looking to rip them off of their hard-earned money with promises of a position in the force. Already, 2 individuals have been arrested in connection to such a case, and 21 service personnel are going through a court-martial for their role in the vice.
Bribery and acts of corruption are against the law. Should anyone give a bribe with the aim of securing a place during this exercise, they will have themselves to blame. No country wants to have soldiers who have paid their way to the battlefront. They will never perform.
KDF advising young Kenyans seeking to be enlisted in the force to keep off drugs, saying addicts have no place in the force.
We cannot take you in the military if you are taking hard drugs. It was very unfortunate. We find young Kenyans, excellent qualifications, but they are testing positive for hard drugs.
KDF is appealing to youth eligible for recruitment to turn up in the recruitment centers, saying those vaccinated against COVID-19 should not shy off.
All what we'll ensure is by the time you are going through training and you are being trained as a military person, you'll have been vaccinated.
In Mundera, Lieutenant Colonel Samiliago decried the low number of women that have shown interest in the force. In Migori County, the exercise will target the minority groups. Yusuf Far reporting for Prime Edition.
Now, a court in Mombasa has jailed 4 police officers for the death of a British national, Alexander Monson, 9 years ago. The 4, Naftali Shegem, Charles Munyeri, Ishmael Baraka and John Pamba, will now serve jail sentences of between 9 and 15 years for manslaughter.
The 4 officers were given jail terms of between 9 and 15 years, but between 5 and 6 years were suspended. In each case for the 2012 murder, the police initially said Monson had died of a drugs overdose, but an inquest in June 2018 found he had died from a head injury. Toxicology reports showed he had no drugs in his system at the time.
Accused person, Naftali Chege, is sentenced to serve a jail term of 15 years in prison, 5 of which are suspended. The second accused person, Charles Wangombe Munyeri, is sentenced to serve a sentence of 12 years in prison, 6 of which is suspended. The third accused person shall serve 9 years in prison, 5 of which are suspended. The fourth accused person shall serve 12 years in prison, 6 of which are suspended. However, due to his invalid condition, the fourth accused person shall continue to seek treatment outside prison and shall only move into jail after his health condition has improved. However, in any event, the fourth accused person shall move into jail on 15th of November 2022, regardless of whether or not he shall have healed. That's the judgment of the court.
I think this is really quite a good day, not just for us, although of course we'll never get Alexander back, but it's a good day for other parents with children of the future, whom the police may be less inclined to just act in a violent way towards them with utter impunity.
I'm also aware from having worked with Nori that there are many mothers all over this country who have lost particularly sons who seem to be the major victim young men at the hands of the police. Anyway, I'm probably too emotional to speak.
Well, that story brings us to our first break. This is KBC Prime Edition.
Stay with us. We have plenty more coming up, including Raila's charm offensive at the coastal region.
Mimi Mwai Kibaki naapa kwamba nitakuwa mwaminifu wa Jamhuri ya Kenya na kuitumikia kwa moyo wangu wote, na kwamba nitahifadhi, nitailinda na kuitetea katiba ya Kenya kwa mujibu wa sheria iliyowekwa. Ewe Mwenyezi Mungu nisaidie.
Sikiza tune hii, Ufunuo wa Yohana 38, dial *811 *817 hash.
Wakati mwingi katika maisha binadamu hujipata kwa shida, unapata ya kwamba hauna usaidizi unaohitaji, biashara zinaisha, hakuna mapato ya kila siku. Lakini hata kwa hayo yote, Biblia inasema ya kwamba katika kitabu cha Ufunuo wa Yohana mlango wa 3 mstari wa 8, na yajua matendo yako. Tazama, nimekupa mlango uliofunguliwa mbele yako.
Ili kupata sikiza tune hiyo ya Yohana 38, dial *811 *817 hash. Dial *811 *817 hash.
Log on to the KBC website at www.kbc.co.ke to get the latest breaking news, entertainment, sports, politics, lifestyle or business trends from Kenya and around the world. Never miss new episodes from your favorite TV shows, reruns and movies. Just stream online or watch live on your YouTube channel at KBC Channel 1 TV shows. For the day's biggest stories, trustworthy news and family entertainment, log on to KBC Channel 1. Watch what you want anytime, anywhere.
You're watching Prime Edition this Monday night, live from the Broadcasting House here in Nairobi. Now we continue with our coverage. The Orange Democratic Movement leader Raila Odinga continued his 3-day tour of the coastal region, pitching tent in Malindi town. Raila defended his social security plan, saying it has been tried and tested in other developing nations. As part of his charm offensive to the coast electorate, the former premier promised to revive the tourism sector and increase investment in the blue economy, besides tackling the land issues that has dogged the region for years.
Raila, who has been in the coast region for the last 2 days, promised the people of Malindi that should he be elected president in 2022, his focus will be to revive the tourism sector and harness the blue economy.
Taka tuanze naitwa value addition, mambo ya manufacturing, tuanze hapa kwetu. Alafu vile vile tufundishe watu wetu kujivunia kama Wakenya. Buy Kenya, build Kenya. Buy Kenya, build Kenya. Sawa. Hivi ndio hata viwanda vyetu vitaanza kunawiri.
Kaunti ya Kilifi ijayo itakuwa ufisadi free. Mnasikia? Na biashara ya Kilifi itafanywa na watu wa wapi? Wa Kilifi. Hatuta import watu kufanya biashara ya kaunti ya Kilifi.
Raila using the forum to defend his social protection policy and dismissing his critic, saying that the system had been tested in other African countries such as Botswana.
Yule mwizi ambaye ameiba mali yako na anakusaidia wewe kuitafuta. Yeye mwenyewe ndiye ameiba, anakuja na anajaribu kusaidia wewe kutafuta. Sawa. Akishachukua saa ile ambayo wanaingia ni membamba kama shindano, lakini baada ya mwaka moja amefura kama kupe.
He took on the deputy president, questioning the source of funds he uses in various donations, adding that his administration would avail interest-free loans to the youth and give them a 7-year grace period to repay.
Mimi najua pale ambaye kuna mianya ambayo hao wanapenya naye hazina yetu na kutoa pesa yetu na kuiba. Mtaziba hizo mianya zote, tupata pesa ya kutosha ya kupenda wa Kenya.
Leaders who had accompanied him, claiming those opposing the ODM chief's candidature for presidency did not have policies that will uplift the country's economy.
Baba
Raila Amolo Odinga is the solution, the liberator, the person who brought ugatuzi, ama si kweli jamani? Na yeye ndio atatutoa katika uchochole. Yawezekana, iwezekani.
Na sasa amekuja na economic revolution. Siasa ya porojo tumalize. Tuanze kutizama vipi tutaleta maendeleo kwa watu wetu.
Risasi yetu iliyobaki ni ile moja ya Raila Amolo Odinga.
Devolution CAS Gideon Mungaro, who attended the meeting, waged his allegiance to the ODM party. Juni Karisambele for the Prime Edition from Kilifi County.
Well, while Raila was popularizing his party's Azimio la Umoja declaration, the Deputy President was in Meru. Deputy President William Ruto said victory is in his side in the 2022 general election. Ruto, who was in Meru, wondered why the Jubilee Party leaders were busy scheming to push him out of the party, yet they themselves are associating with ODM leader Raila Odinga. The Deputy President, who was popularizing his bottom-up economic model, called on locals to support the UDA party, which he said has sound policies on how to drive Kenya forward.
The Deputy President has for the last 4 days camped in the Mount Kenya region as he seeks to solidify his hold on the vote-rich region. Monday, Ruto pitched tent in Meru County, where he exuded confidence that he would trounce his rivals in the 2022 general election. Ruto took issue with leaders in the Jubilee Party whom he accused of betraying Jubilee supporters by backing ODM leader Raila Odinga.
Kuna mtu anaweza kutuambia sisi watu milioni 8 tumeunda serikali mara 2, tumefanya maendeleo mengi, katikati yetu watu milioni 8 tumekosa mtu ya kutuongoza.
The Deputy President pushed for his bottom-up economic model as a sound policy that would move the country's economy on an upward trajectory.
Kama kuna priority number 1 ni vile tutapanga uchumi ili hawa vijana wapate ajira, wajisimamie. That is our priority number 1.
Leaders who accompanied the Deputy President accused some forces inside government of trying to twist governors in the region to support a candidate of your choice.
Tumemwambia magavana wasijaribu, wasidhubutu kutusukumia Raila Odinga. Hapa Meru hatuna mipango miwili. Mpango wetu ni UDA, ndio. Kujua watu wa Meru hapa. Sababu sisi ni waerevu. Sababu tunajua ukweli. Tunamuelewa nani mtu wetu anatusaidia wakati tuko na mashinda.
John Jacob Kuria, Prime Edition.
Elsewhere, National Assembly Speaker Justin Muturi has defended the performance of parliamentary departmental committees at the height of the COVID-19 pandemic. Muturi says members of parliament leveraged on technology to ensure that parliamentary business is not interrupted. Muturi has, however, challenged lawmakers to add value to governance through effective oversight. Muturi spoke on parliament grounds during the second parliamentary forum for committees.
I've also found difficulties interrogating some of the decisions being taken by the executive. You know, especially examining reports from the Auditor General by either the Public Accounts Committee, Public Investments Committee. Therefore, this has been quite a challenging time, but I must commend the committees, because even as much as we've put pressure on committees, that remember, we always require within 21 days after a bill has been referred to a committee to submit a report. Even though it has not always been timely, committees have gone out of their ways to make sure that reports on various bills and legislative proposals have been availed to the House.
The BCP that the National Assembly of Kenya adopted was a benchmark for the regional assemblies. It is worth noting that the hybrid system of conducting business in the Parliament of Kenya was largely emulated in other parliaments within the region and beyond.
Let's now shift and move into health. Statistics from Ministry of Health indicate that more women are embracing modern family planning methods. Health Principal Secretary Susan Mochache says that this year alone, 2021, millions of women have been reported using modern contraception. The uptake of modern family planning methods is, however, still low in arid areas where women opt for traditional methods of birth control.
The Ministry of Health and Development partners signed a memorandum of understanding on establishment and implementation of a sustainable financing mechanism for procurement of family planning commodities. The arrangement is set to enhance access of family planning commodities to a tune of 2 billion shillings. According to the Principal Secretary in the Ministry of Health, Susan Mochache, this year alone, 6.3 million women used modern contraception, a situation that averted 2.4 million unintended pregnancies.
When you think about it and contextualize that it is the lives of women, it is not just numbers, it's somebody, a woman somewhere who was desperate and this contraceptive saved them, then you realize that that number, 2.4, is not little. That our family could have become even much more poorer and even suffered nutrition because of an unintended pregnancy. 2.4 million families perhaps saved from that tragedy.
Repeated surveys done over, especially by performance monitoring for action, which shows that the total fertility rate has declined from a high of 4.6 to currently 3.9. And significantly also the unmet need for family planning has declined to stand at 18%. And over the implementation period of this program, we expect that this will come down further to 9%.
However, despite the steps made so far in the uptake of modern contraception, the Ministry of Health is still concerned over disparity in arid counties.
Counties, especially northern arid land counties, where family planning uptake is still very low, the modern contraceptive prevalence rate is still very low, and we need to do a lot of advocacy even as we assure commodity security by working with the communities through social behavior change communication to increase the uptake of family planning.
But you can't have that conversation without talking about counties playing their role, with about health workers playing their role, and with actually communities and women and also men in communities, just making this having that full effort from everybody involved. That's the way you have success.
USAID remains committed to advancing access to voluntary family planning services in Kenya. This is key to meet the pledge of the 2030 agenda for sustainable development to ensure universal access to sexual and reproductive health care services.
The Director General in the Ministry of Health, Dr. Patrick Amoth, underscoring the need for counties to be actively involved in dissemination of information towards ensuring social behavior change. Nancy Okwari.
And Kenya's COVID-19 positivity rate has dropped slightly to 0.7% after 12 people tested positive from a sample size of 1,730 tested in the last 24 hours. Total confirmed positive cases are now 254,309. Cumulative tests conducted so far are over 2.77 million. 3 deaths have been reported, all being late deaths recorded after conducting facility audit records. The cumulative number of fatalities now stands at 5,319 as at November 15, 2021. Over 5.9 million vaccines had been administered across the country. Meanwhile, statistics from the Johns Hopkins University indicate that globally over 253 million people have tested positive, while more than 5.1 million others have died. News: 5 students of Kerugoya Girls High School have been arraigned in court following fire incident that occurred in the school Sunday evening. Several students were injured as they scampered for safety during the fire incident. Elsewhere, the Kenya Young Parliamentarians Association has launched a youth-driven climate change program in Migori County. The initiative will be replicated in 8 other counties across the country. This and more stories in our County News Roundup.
As the government tries to crack the whip on the spate of fires in schools that continue to affect a majority of high schools in the country, 5 girls from Kerugoya Girls High School have been arraigned in court to answer to arson charges. The 5 were arrested following a fire incident that saw a dormitory razed. The school has since been closed, the incident adding to the numerous cases of school fires that continue to be reported in various parts of the country. Elsewhere, a program to reduce climate change has been launched. Speaking during the program launch in Nyanchabo Pefa Church in Kuria West constituency, the association's program officer Elvis Wambura said the program will run in Mandera, Migori, Baringo, Nairobi, Makueni, Lamu, Mombasa and Busia counties. Wambura challenged the youth to use their numbers to change the climate change discourse in the country.
This project we are implementing in partnership with the Royal Danish Embassy and as well as support from the Uraia Trust, and we are doing it in 8 counties. One of the counties that we are doing it is in Migori, we are doing it in Baringo, we are doing it in Lamu, we are doing it in Nairobi, we are doing it in Busia, as well as Mandera, where we shall be going in the following week.
A 20 billion Mwache multipurpose dam is being constructed in Fulugani Trading Center, Kwale County. The dam is meant to control the floods flow from Mwache River Basin for domestic water supply and irrigation to Kwale and Mombasa counties. Touring the construction site, Coast Regional Commissioner John Elungata said Mwache Dam project is part of the second phase water security and climate resilience program, which will focus on Mombasa and Kwale counties. Elsewhere, youth in the country have been urged to vote in visionary leaders in the next year's general elections in a bid to safeguard their future. Addressing the media in Nakuru, Daniel Kimani, a youth leader, said participation in the elections was the only way to ensure change they desired is effected.
Youth sasa tumeshikana na tulianza kitambo kuelezea wanayouth wetu tutakula handouts today na tomorrow tuumie. Wacha kura yetu sasa iongee. We are 70%. That means we can elect leaders.
Finally, Form 4 students at Kakamega National School have started reporting back to the institution. Parents of the school have, however, termed as punitive the over 9,000 shillings penalty for damages and the requirement to pay school fees in full upon readmission.
Well, that roundup ushers us into the second break of this live broadcast.
And thank you so much for staying with us and for your comments online. At Hama Kimani, you're tuned in from Kirinyaga County. Thank you. Arch Libwege also tuned in. Thank you so much. We also have Wycliffe Joshua Othieno. We're saying that you're tuned in to Prime Edition. Karon Jenga is up next with the day's business. Stay with us.
Buda, pesa yako. Oya, lipia ka Ronaldo pia wewe. Unadondoka mwanafika kana.
Ni game ya mwisho, multibet ingiane ama ichomeke. Swali ni, utadondoka?
Kati mkana melizwa, shukisha.
Dondoka visimpo na Odibets cash out.
We take it on at the right time.
Honorable Musalia Mudavadi.
The Honorable Mutahi Kagwe.
Chief Justice Martha Karambuko.
This is KBC, is the voice of Kenya.
Asking the right questions.
I don't know how it made you feel as speaker who is presiding over a house where members can be compromised with 10,000 shillings.
We keep our guests comfortable. A mission to ensure our audience gets a complete story.
For a few hours or so, I thought this is it.
My end has come.
If really we want an end of this pandemic, we must fight.
Our goal, to tell it as it is for the benefit of our viewer.
And I'm sure we will have good discussions.
All right.
That will make probably your viewers understand KDF better.
With 21 radio outlets.
During a live interview on KBC TV, Chief of Defense Forces General Robert Kibosha.
Jaji mkuu kwa mara ya kwanza katika mahojiano yake ya kipekee na runinga ya KBC Channel 1.
And 2 TV stations covering over 90% of the entire country. The message always gets home. KBC, the home of on-air TV interviews.
I think there's only one person you want to see.
It's you.
You've been asking about him non-stop lately. Do you take me for a fool?
Doctor! Wake up, Doctor! Are you alright? Can you hear me? Doctor!
What tip-off?
You'll know sooner or later. Just go now and save Vincian.
Good evening. Let's now take a look at what has been making headlines in the world of business. My name is Carol Jenga. Now, the government is seeking to register 5 million small businesses within the next 1 year in plans to have them formalized their activities. Micro and Small Enterprise Authority Director General Henry Ritha says an online platform has been created to facilitate the registration process that will also act as one-stop shop for startups registration.
The Micro and Small Enterprise Authority says it has 12,000 SMEs in its database and are seeking to register 5 million more in the next 1 year. The authority has created a platform that will register the SMEs and also act as a registration platform for startups.
Once you register under the Office of the Registrar of Micro and Small Enterprises as a small business, you do not go to register elsewhere. We are even pushing you to be accessing tenders and businesses through that certificate. You do not have to go to any other regime.
The authority says it seeks to register 15 million SMEs in its long-term strategy, with the data from the exercise being used to draft policies that will regulate the Juakali sector.
Your growth per year, and you want to use this for planning purposes. So it is more to the benefit of the small business person that the country is doing this.
The regulator has allayed fears that the data from the registration exercise will be used for taxation purposes.
It is not about any other compliance issues. It is more about facilitation than compliance.
The registration exercise has already attracted a 25 million shillings funding from UNDP that will also help link small businesses to markets across Africa as the African Continental Free Trade Agreement takes shape.
Advantage of the free trade area. So Kenya, Uganda, all of the East African communities need to also build that big...
There are an estimated 15 million small businesses in Kenya. Benson Rioba reporting for Prime.
Now, a crossover now to Kisumu, where the youth are being challenged to embrace entrepreneurship as a way of tackling unemployment. Post-training and skills development principal Secretary Alfred Cheriot says the government is rolling out programs tailored towards tapping technical skills in the informal sector with a view to inculcate the spirit of entrepreneurship among the youth.
Post-Training and Skills Development Principal Secretary Alfred Cheriot, who spoke during an entrepreneurship exhibition at the Kisumu National Polytechnic, noted with concern the low uptake of funding schemes meant to facilitate entrepreneurship, especially among the youth.
We have lots of funding for the youth. We have the youth fund. We have several which have been set up by the government. But I can tell you what, the uptake is low, below 30%, because basically either the youth do not know what to do to access the funding, or they are actually biased towards being employed elsewhere as opposed to taking the venture and making sure that they become employers themselves.
Cheriot said there are immense untapped skills in the informal sector, and it was high time the youth in Kenya developed interest in tapping their entrepreneurial skills to create employment.
The issue of unemployment in this country is high, and the main reason is because everyone believes that we have to be in formal employment. But you can be an employer yourself. You can be a job creator, and you set up with your skills. You set up your own industry and be able to employ others. So instead of being an employee, you are actually the employer.
The Juakali Association leadership said Kenya could industrialize at a faster pace if technical institutions worked closely with skilled artists in the informal sector.
The State Department, along with the Kenya National Federation, coiled an initiative called Ujuzi Teke Teke, skills on the go for the youth. These skills on the go does not require funding. We are piloting it in Makueni, where the youths are incorporated by master craftsmen. They are taught for 3 months. They are certified by NITA, and they are bought for tools by the county government and given space by our associations. That value chain is about mind and cultural set.
A similar exhibition is slated to be held at Kabete and Kenya Coast Polytechnics later this week. Reporting for Prime Edition from Kisumu County, I am Wycliffe Okage.
We now take a look at what's happening in the irrigation sector, where the construction of the proposed Mwache Dam in Kwale County is set to kick off, targeting to put 2,500 hectares of land under irrigation. Coastal Regional Commissioner John Elungata says the 20 billion shillings dam reservoir will offer a lasting solution to the domestic water supply challenges and irrigation in the counties of Mombasa and Kwale, while harnessing the floodwater from Mwache River Basin.
The Coast Regional Commissioner says the Mwache Dam project is part of the second phase water security and climate resilience program, which will focus on Mombasa and Kwale counties. The dam is said to have an 87.5 meter tall concrete gravity dike, storing 118 million cubic meters of water, with a daily supply of 186,000 cubic meters of water. The project is poised to begin anytime now, with 12,000 people being relocated to pave way for construction of the dam. Meanwhile, Indigenous Go Africa Company has entered into a memorandum of understanding with farmers at the Bunyala irrigation scheme in an effort to promote value addition of the rice. The organization has pledged to offer farmers certified seed, fertilizer, and buy the harvested rice.
And one of the things about sustainable agriculture is making sure that we have a market for the produce of farm products that are being produced by the farmers on the ground. We are focusing on Bunyala rice scheme, but our vision is a lot larger than just Bunyala rice scheme. So we intend on partnering with many other communities within the county as well as the country to ensure that we are getting the right market, getting the right products and the right inputs to the farmers.
Our rice varieties, our soils, our level of mechanization have all been very poor, but also most importantly is the issue of marketing. And that for us as a government is going to make it easy for the farmers to do rice value addition, to do good planting of rice, and even do harvesting as well as packaging of the rice.
Busia County CEC for Agriculture Moses Osia said the initiative will go a long way in maximizing income for rice farmers in Busia. Reporting for Prime Edition, my name is Hibak Saeed.
Thank you, Hibak, for that story, and that brings us to the end of business news for tonight. My name is Carol Jenga. See you tomorrow for more business news.
cha sawa, yeye yuona wampita kichwa.
Sasa sisi wanawake tutakuwa hatufanyi mambo yetu kwa sababu wanaume wataenda kununa.
Yule wakili hakusikia raha kuniona. Inakaa alikuwa yataka mimi nibaki huko nife kwa Kate.
Ile kitendo ambacho umefanya haikufanya wewe jemedari. You're not a hero.
Lakini mwanangu labda ameenda tu kwa marafiki atarudi. Ulikuwa umeenda wapi badi? Nikifikiri umepotea kama mama.
Sijapotea mimi. Na saizi nimerudi na sitakuacha tena. Good evening. Always a pleasure to have your company for KBC Sports with me, Richard Munga. Now, World Football Governing Body, FIFA, has called on Kenya's Ministry of Sports to reinstate the Football Kenya Federation Executive Committee in place of the recently formed Caretaker Committee. The FKF Executive Committee was suspended by the ministry, with Cabinet Secretary Amina Mohamed forming a Caretaker Committee to run football matters in the country for a period of 6 months as a probe into misappropriation of funds continues. In a letter addressed to Sports Cabinet Secretary Amina Mohamed, FIFA has insisted that the formation of the Football Kenya Federation Caretaker Committee goes contrary to its principles, which requires all member associations to manage their affairs independently and without undue interference from third parties, including the government. Highlighting the possibility of a ban if a solution is not agreed upon soon, FIFA has offered to call for a meeting with the ministry to discuss the way forward. The letter, signed by FIFA Secretary General Fatma Samora, continues, and I quote, "Going forward, without prejudice to the allegations that have been raised and any potential trial for offences that may have been committed, FIFA and CAF are asking you to consider the reinstatement of the FKF Executive Committee as prior thereto." FIFA and CAF administrators are prepared to work closely with the FKF and your office representatives, as it has already been the case in recent past, to normalise the situation. End of quote. Nick Mboya, who is serving his second term as Football Kenya Federation Chair, was ejected from office by the Ministry of Sports after his office was accused of misappropriation of funds, with Cabinet Secretary Amina Mohamed appointing a 27-person caretaker committee to run football in the country. Mehol national football team Harambee Stars wrapped up their 2022 World Cup qualifying campaign with a 2-1 win over Rwanda in a Group E match played today at the Nyayo National Stadium. The two teams were already out of contention in the race for Qatar, with today's match termed by most as a mere formality. Qatari-based Michael Olunga scored early on in the first half to put intent on earning a fast win in the qualifiers. Rwanda head coach Vincent Mashami made a few changes in the second half, with his efforts eventually paying off after Olivier third on 6 points, after 1 win, 3 draws and 2 losses, while Rwanda came in last after recording just a single point. Mali qualified in the last round of games after beating Uganda and finished the group on 16 points, with Uganda coming in second on 9 points. Too little, too late indeed. Also, more than 300 athletes drawn for Bomet County turned up today for a consultative forum with Athletics Kenya, AK, which was held at St. Bakita Hall in Bomet Town. The athletes used the opportunity to raise challenges they face to AK, national and county governments so that it can be addressed in order to impact positively on their careers. Emmanuel Rutich, an athlete who participated in the event, lauded AK for the initiative, but did not shy away from urging athletes to be more vocal on issues that affect them, whether in competitions or during preparations.
What I'm urging is that any issue that is raised all over the country right now should not just be talked about, but also implemented. Action is something we need. We really need that as athletes, as students, as everybody else.
Rutich added that there is need for the respective associations to provide resources so as to support development of the sport at the grassroots level.
We need the government to come up. The national government, the county level, we need that support. Organizing events. You don't have to bring money, but organize events and sponsor those events.
Steeplechase athlete Leonard Bate adding that young athletes need more nurturing if they are to compete on the international level.
I think there are some pressures from maybe our parents and maybe our spouses when it comes to finance, and I think this also will go directly to Athletics Kenya to see what they are going to do, because when I represent Kenya, for example, when I was in 2017 World Under 18, I just represented Kenya, and in 3 or 4 months after this event, I was blank. I had nothing. But
Bet says many of his colleagues experienced mental health issues after retiring, urging Athletics Kenya and the government as well to go the extra mile and undertake financial management courses for all athletes. Meanwhile, Hasaka's ladies qualified for the inaugural CAF Women's Champions League final following a 2-1 win over Sfa Club in Cairo, Egypt. Hasakas, who dominated in the group matches, topping Group A, now wait to find out their opponent in the final between South Africa's Mamelodi Sundowns and Malabo Kings of Equatorial Guinea, with the match currently ongoing. And the Equity Hawks basketball team head coach Sylvia Kamau has said that his team is all prepared for the upcoming Africa Cup Club Championships, that are set to take place in Tanzania from the 18th till November 23rd this year. The team is currently finalizing its training and is set to leave the country on Wednesday.
The Kenya Basketball Women League champions Equity Hawks have been training for the last 1 month in preparation for the upcoming African Club Championship, set to take place in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania from 18th November to 23rd November this year. The team's head coach Sylvia Kamau has said that the team is well prepared and has been showing maximum cooperation and improvement on a daily basis in the training.
This team is a great team. It's young. We've had a couple of players coming in who from high school, so we have good injection and a good blend of mature players, senior players who've played for a while, and young players.
We started off shaky, but right now we've been in camp, we've been training well, and I believe we are good to go to retain our title, because once we were champions, and I believe we are able to take the cup again.
Sylvia also stated that she is confident that the team will produce masterclass performance in the competition. The team will leave the country for Dar es Salaam on Wednesday this week. Daniel Mwendwa for Prime Edition Sport.
Internationally now, Norwich City has confirmed Dean Smith as the new head coach in a 2.5-year contract deal. The former Aston Villa boss replaces Daniel Farke, who was sacked earlier this month, with Norwich sitting at the bottom of the Premier League table.
The Canaries sacked Daniel Farke this month when Smith was also fired by Villa following a run of 5 straight league defeats, which saw Villa appointing former Liverpool and England captain Steven Gerrard. Former Chelsea manager Frank Lampard also held talks with the Canaries but pulled out of the running on Saturday. Smith joined Villa in 2018 following a spell in charge of Brentford, where he developed a reputation of attacking football. He led Villa back to the top flight via the playoffs on his first campaign with a 10-match club record-winning run at the end of the season. All this comes with Norwich sitting below Newcastle United on goal difference with only 5 points from 11 games. For Prime Edition.
Oh, that's all the time we had for sports, but don't go too far. Museo and Mboya are on the other side of the studio. Have a good night.
Good night to you too, Richard, and good night to our viewers here in Kenya and around the world. That's where we wrap it up right here on Prime Edition this Monday night. It's been a great pleasure having your company. I'm Purity Museo, and Wangeshi has been a sign language interpreter tonight. We'll see you again tomorrow, God willing, same place.
And I'm Mboya from Broadcasting House right here in Nairobi, Kenya. Good night and God bless.
kupata skiza tune hii ya Dhiki Huleta Zaburi kwa simu yako, bonyeza *811 *815#.
Na msibabaishwe na yale mnayowapitia, hata yawe magumu kiasi gani, yote yatapita. La msingi ni kuweka tumaini letu kwa Mungu aliyetuumba. Katika kitabu cha Warumi 5:3, wala si hivyo tu, ila mnafurahia katika dhiki pia, mkijua